The story of the migration from Mecca to Medina is one of hope, sacrifice, and the unyielding faith in Allah's plan. It is a journey that transformed not only the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but also the course of history for the entire Muslim community. As we begin our narrative, imagine the dark nights and the quiet whispers of fear and determination that filled the hearts of the early Muslims. This was not merely a physical journey from one city to another. It was a leap of faith, a bold step towards a new beginning where justice and unity could flourish. In Mecca, the Prophet, peace be upon him, faced relentless opposition and severe persecution. The city, which had been his birthplace and the cradle of his message, had turned hostile to his call for monotheism. Many among the Quraysh not only ridiculed his message, but also inflicted great hardships upon him and his followers. Despite these trials, the Prophet's spirit remained unbroken, and his determination to spread the message of Allah grew stronger. His words, filled with wisdom and compassion, resonated with those who yearned for truth and justice. He reminded them, "Do not grieve over what has passed, but rather put your trust in Allah, for He is the best of planners." This saying captured the essence of his unwavering faith and the resilience that would soon lead to a dramatic turning point. The decision to leave Mecca was not taken lightly. It came at a time when the persecution reached unbearable levels, and the survival of the nascent Muslim community was in jeopardy. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, provided guidance through revelations. One such verse from the Holy Quran states, "And whoever emigrates for the cause of Allah will find on earth many dwelling places. And whoever leaves his home as an emigrant to Allah and His Messenger, and then death overtakes him, his reward has already become incumbent upon Allah." Quran 4:10-0. This verse not only served as a beacon of hope, but also as a divine assurance that every sacrifice made in the way of Allah would be rewarded in this life and the next. It highlighted the spiritual dimension of migration, elevating it beyond a mere physical relocation to a profound act of faith. As the time for migration drew near, the Prophet, peace be upon him, began to make careful preparations. His every move was guided by the light of divine revelation, and his every word was imbued with the certainty that Allah was with him. One of the most poignant moments during this period was the clandestine departure from Mecca. Under the cover of darkness, with his close companion Abu Bakr by his side, the Prophet embarked on a journey that would be remembered for all eternity. They sought refuge in the cave of Thar, a humble sanctuary where the presence of Allah was keenly felt. It was here that the believers witnessed an act of profound trust in divine protection. The story goes that when the pursuers neared the cave, a spider wove its delicate web at the entrance, and a dove laid eggs nearby, creating an illusion that the cave had not been disturbed. This miraculous sign reassured the Prophet and his companion that Allah's protection was real, and it strengthened their resolve to press on despite the looming dangers. Throughout the journey, the Prophet, peace be upon him, continuously reminded his followers of the transient nature of worldly hardships. He would often say, "Verily, with every hardship comes ease," echoing the divine promise found in the Quran, Quran 94, verses 5-8. This simple yet powerful message helped ease the fears of those who left behind their homes, their families, and everything familiar in search of a place where they could worship freely. His words were a constant source of comfort and inspiration. They instilled in the hearts of the believers the belief that no trial was insurmountable when one placed complete trust in Allah. The journey itself was fraught with challenges. The harsh desert, the threat of capture, and the constant fear of the unknown made every step seem laden with uncertainty. Yet, each moment of fear was met with an unshakable faith. The Prophet's calm demeanor in the face of danger, his constant supplications, and his unyielding hope in Allah's mercy served as a powerful lesson for all. He taught his followers that the true essence of migration was not merely the act of leaving one place for another, but rather a symbol of leaving behind all forms of oppression, disbelief, and injustice. Arriving in Medina marked the beginning of a new era. The city, once known by the name Yathrib, welcomed the Prophet and his companions with open arms and hopeful hearts. In Medina, the seeds of a just and compassionate society were sown. The Prophet's sayings and his exemplary behavior became the foundation upon which the community was built. He emphasized the importance of brotherhood, mutual support, and the equality of all believers. One of his notable sayings was, "The believers in their mutual kindness, compassion, and sympathy are just like one body. When one part of the body suffers, the whole body responds with wakefulness and fever." This message of unity was vital in a city that was previously divided by long-standing tribal conflicts. The Prophet, peace be upon him, bridged these divides with his inclusive vision, creating a society where every individual was valued and every voice was heard. In Medina, the Muslim community began to flourish. The Prophet established social, political, and economic institutions that were based on the principles of justice, consultation, and collective responsibility. The Constitution of Medina, for instance, was a pioneering document that laid down the rights and responsibilities of all citizens, regardless of their faith. This document not only ensured peaceful coexistence among different communities, but also set a precedent for governance based on fairness and compassion. The transformation of Medina into a thriving community was a testament to the power of faith and the impact of the Prophet's teachings. His insistence on living according to divine guidance reshaped the society, turning it into a model of harmony and unity that continues to inspire millions around the world. The migration also carried deep spiritual lessons. The act of leaving behind everything familiar and venturing into the unknown was, in itself, an expression of total surrender to Allah's will. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught that the true essence of a believer's life is measured not by the comfort of his surroundings, but by his readiness to sacrifice for the sake of truth and righteousness. His personal sacrifices and the hardships he endured were a living lesson in perseverance. In one of his sayings, he remarked, "My path has been made easy by Allah, and my mission is not for the faint-hearted." This statement, spoken during the most trying moments of the migration, resonated deeply with his followers, inspiring them to overcome their fears and doubts. Another key aspect of this historical journey was the way it redefined the concept of community. In Mecca, the early Muslims were a small, scattered group, often hidden in the shadows of persecution. However, in Medina, they found a place where their faith could thrive openly. The Prophet, peace be upon him, established a community based on equality and justice, where the bonds of brotherhood transcended tribal and social differences. His teachings emphasized that all human beings were equal in the eyes of Allah, and that the true measure of a person was his piety and moral character. This revolutionary idea, so beautifully encapsulated in his actions and words, laid the groundwork for a society that was inclusive and supportive. A stark contrast to the divisions and hostilities that had plagued the pre-Islamic society of Arabia. The migration was also a turning point in the spiritual journey of Islam itself. It signified the moment when Islam ceased to be a message confined to the narrow streets of Mecca and began to spread its wings across the Arabian Peninsula. The move to Medina opened up new opportunities for the growth of the Islamic State. The Prophet, peace be upon him, not only established a safe haven for the believers, but also set in motion a series of events that would eventually lead to the unification of the tribes under the banner of Islam. His emphasis on consultation, shura, and collective decision-making became the cornerstone of governance in the new community, paving the way for a just and balanced society. As the community in Medina grew, so did the challenges. New conflicts, both internal and external, arose, as the Muslim state encountered opposition from those who still harbored hostility towards its ideals. Yet, in the face of adversity, the Prophet, peace be upon him, continued to lead with wisdom and compassion. His sayings during these trying times stressed the importance of patience, resilience, and unwavering faith. He reminded his followers that every difficulty was a test from Allah, and that perseverance would ultimately lead to divine reward. His calm and steady guidance, even in the midst of chaos, became a source of strength for the entire community. The Prophet's life was a living example of the Quranic principle that, indeed, Allah does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear. Quran 2:28-6. This verse became a mantra for the believers, a constant reminder that their trials were both a test and a means of purification. In reflecting on the migration, one cannot ignore the profound impact it had on the spiritual and social fabric of Islam. It was a journey that required immense sacrifice, yet it reaped rewards far greater than any material gain. The migration was an embodiment of the concept of sacrifice for a higher purpose, a principle that remains at the heart of Islamic teachings. The Prophet, peace be upon him, demonstrated that true success is not measured by worldly comforts, but by one's commitment to truth and justice. His life, marked by courage, humility, and unwavering trust in Allah, continues to serve as an eternal guide for millions of Muslims around the world. The lessons of this migration are timeless and resonate deeply with anyone who faces adversity or is on a quest for a better life. It teaches us that when we are guided by faith and righteousness, every hardship can be transformed into an opportunity for growth and renewal. The Prophet's sayings such as, "Leave behind that which does not bring you closer to Allah, and strive for that which brings you nearer to Him," serve as gentle reminders that the journey of life is about constant self-improvement and spiritual elevation. These words encourage us to look beyond the immediate challenges and to have hope in the promise of a brighter, more just future. In the end, the migration from Mecca to Madina was much more than a change of location. It was a profound act of faith, a deliberate step towards establishing a community where the principles of justice, equality, and compassion reigned supreme. The courage of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions in leaving everything familiar behind teaches us the value of sacrifice and the power of steadfast belief in Allah's plan. Their journey reminds us that every trial in life is a stepping stone to greater rewards, and that with each act of sincere sacrifice, we are closer to fulfilling our purpose. As we conclude this narrative, we reflect on the enduring legacy of the Hijrah. The migration is celebrated not only as a pivotal moment in Islamic history, but also as an enduring symbol of renewal and hope. It calls on each one of us to be brave in the face of adversity, to hold fast to our values, and to always trust that Allah's plan is the best plan. The story of the migration encourages us to seek out the light, even in the darkest of times, and to build communities founded on the principles of justice and mutual respect. The journey from Mecca to Medina continues to inspire millions today. It reminds us that when we leave behind what harms our souls and embrace the path of truth, we can find not only physical refuge, but also spiritual liberation. In a world often divided by conflict and strife, the migration stands as a beacon of hope, a timeless reminder that unity, compassion, and faith can overcome even the greatest of challenges. This narrative, filled with the Prophet's gentle words and steadfast resolve, is a testament to the power of belief and the transformative nature of sacrifice. The migration of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from Mecca to Madina remains one of the most significant events in Islamic history, a journey that reshaped the destiny of a people and continues to guide those who seek to live in accordance with divine guidance. May its lessons inspire us all to pursue truth with unwavering courage and to always strive for a better, more compassionate world.